Today we are going to talk a little bit about what exactly is a decimal. So we see a lot of decimals in the real world. From these pictures, you can see that we see decimals when we weigh ourselves. We see decimals sometimes when we're measuring something. Maybe something is 9 and 9.5. Sometimes we say inches or 9 and 5/10 of an inch. Sometimes we see decimals in sports. Maybe we see like the batting average of a baseball player is 0.309. And sometimes we see decimals with our temperature, um, which could be like 98.6 degrees. So we want to think of decimals kind of like money. So we know that we have our hundreds, tens, and ones place. But now, what if we have also some dimes and pennies? So this is a really good way to think of decimals when we think of it just like money. We have our whole dollars, which is 847. And then we have part of a dollar, which is the 36 cents, or 3 dimes and 6 pennies, or 3/10 and 6/100. So decimals and fractions both are just part of a whole. So we can have part of a pizza or part of a watermelon or part of money or part of degrees when we are taking our temperature. So right now I need you to pause the video and grab a piece of paper and a pencil. So now we're going to make just a little chart on your paper that shows 3 columns: a fraction column, a word column, and a decimal column. So you can see right here that we have the fraction, we have 10 bars, and we're showing 1/10 of the bars, which shows the fraction 1/10. If we were going to say the fraction 1/10, we would just make sure that we added that th onto the word 10. So it says 1/10. And our decimal looks like a 0, because we don't have any holes at this point. It's a 0, and 1/10 goes right after the decimal point because that is the 10th place. It's just like 1 dime. Go ahead and write that on your chart and then press play when you have that written down. Next, we have 4/10. You can see it in the fraction. 4 of the bars are blue out of the 10 bars, so 4/10. And then the word 4/10, again with the th. And then in decimal, we put 0.4, the same as 4 dimes. Now I want you to try it. So look and see what the fraction is. Look and see how many dimes you have, and go ahead and fill in the fraction column and the decimal column. So for a fraction, you should have had 9/10, and for the decimals, 0.9 or 9/10. We say it exactly the same way. Now we're going to try hundredths, which is a combination of dimes and pennies. So you can see now for the grid or the squares, we have 100 squares. That's kind of like 100 pennies in a dollar. So you can see right here, we have 2 full columns. So that's 20, and then 6 more squares to make a total of 26. So our fraction is 26/100. We write the word 26/100 with a th after the word hundred. And for our decimal, we have a 0, then the decimal point, and then 26 for 26/100. Go ahead and write that down and press play when you're done. Now we have 59/100. You can see 59 of the 100 squares are colored yellow. We have the word 59/100 with that th right after the word hundred. And then for our decimal, it looks just like 59 cents or $0.59 of a dollar. Now you try it. Go ahead and look at the decimal or the fraction, and then the money, which is the same as the decimal. All right, so our fraction should be 45 hundredths, and our decimal should look like 0 and 45 hundredths. So how do we read decimals? We practiced it a little bit just now, but the important thing to remember is this little dot right there, which in this case is a little square, but normally we know that it's a decimal point or a circle. And the thing when we are reading decimals that we want to remember is that important word and. Sometimes you see the word point, like I might say 847.36. In this case, when we are reading decimals in math, we really want to remember to use that word and. So let's give it a try. Let's practice reading decimals to the 10th place. So I'm going to show you a number and I want you to say it out loud. And then I'll pause and I'll say it to see if you got it right. So here we go. Here's our first one. These are all going to be the 10th place. 3 and 8 tenths. 47 and 4 tenths. 27 and 1 tenth. How are you doing so far? Hopefully good. 65 and 7 tenths. 241 and 3 tenths. Now let's try it with decimals to the 100th place. 9 and 82 hundredths. 47 and 49 hundredths. 27 and 11 hundredths. 65 and 7 hundredths. That one's kind of tricky because there's a 0 in the tenths place, so we just say the hundredths. 241 and 73 hundredths. Now get that pencil and paper back out, and we are going to practice writing some decimals. So I'm going to say the number, go ahead and write it down, and then double check and see if what I said is the way that you wrote it down. So the first one that I want you to write down is 9 and 2 tenths. 9 and 2 tenths. Should look like 9 as our whole number and the decimal point, and then 2 in the tenths place. The next one is 4 and 26 hundredths. 4 and 26 hundredths. Here's what 4 and 26 hundredths looks like. Next one, try 13 and 8 tenths. 13 and 8 tenths. Here we have 13 and 8 tenths. 13 as our whole number, the decimal point, and then 8 tenths. Next one, try 33 and 83 hundredths. Here is 33 and 83 hundredths. Try 14 and 52 hundredths. 14 and 52 hundredths. (14 and 52 hundredths). And the last one, listen carefully, 16 and 5 hundredths. 16 and 5 hundredths. This is 16 and 5 hundredths. Look very carefully and make sure that you put a 0 in the tenths place and a 5 in the hundredths place.